Hi, thank you for clicking on the video and I hope everyone is doing really well. Today I am talking about a diet called the GM diet. The GM diet was developed in 1985 with help from the Food and Drug Administration and the United States Department of Agriculture. Its intent was to raise productivity amongst General Motors employees by making them healthier. Employees who attempted this diet found that they lost an average of 10 to 17 pounds in just 1 week. They also claimed that they were more efficient at their job and felt an increase in confidence and energy levels. At the end of it all, the diet was determined to be a big success. It's a 7-day, easy-to-follow diet. It's straightforward and not very complicated. So how does this diet work? This diet limits your food choices to fruits, vegetables, chicken, and brown rice. It's a combination of complex carbs, low-calorie fruits and vegetables, and an increase in water consumption. To make this diet easier on the dieter, each day of the week has a very specific meal plan that you must follow to a T. So I'm going to go day by day through the meal plan, explain what is to be eaten each day, and kind of give my opinion of each day and then my opinion about this diet as a whole. So day 1 is a fruit-only day except for no bananas. There was a list of recommended fruits for day 1, and it seems like the recommended fruits are all fruits that have a very high water content. It says that there are no restrictions and you are welcome to eat as much fruit as you like. But that is a contradiction within itself because you are restricted to just fruit. That is a restriction. And when you are restricted to one food group, it can get boring really quick. So it's a complete lie for them to say that there is no restriction and then tell them that you can only eat this one food group. The diet states that fiber-rich fruits keep you full for longer. What the diet should say is fiber-rich fruits make you feel full for longer. And even if you haven't eaten enough calories for the day, you still feel full. This is another form of restriction, tricking your brain to think you've eaten a lot or eaten enough when you probably haven't. I came across a recommended meal plan breakdown for each day of the week, but I'm focusing on day 1 here, obviously. So I went through the recommended meal plan and it has 3 meals, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then 3 snacks. And I calculated a rough estimate of the calories for that recommended meal plan. And I even rounded up to like the nearest 10th for each item on the meal plan, and I only got to 620 calories. And if they're trying to convince me that this diet is not restrictive, 620 calories is nothing. And this is another proof, this is more proof that this diet is a restrictive diet. Day 2 consists of potatoes and other vegetables. You may start to feel weak on day 2. Don't worry, this is normal for low-calorie diets. That is a direct quote from the website that I was doing my research on that was explaining the GM diet. And within that statement, it admits that this is a low-calorie diet. Low-calorie diet is a fancy term for restrictive diet. Low-calorie diet also means it's starvation. Within this diet, it states multiple times it's not restrictive and it's not starvation. Within this sentence of saying it's a low-calorie diet, they have contradicted both of those words. Day 3 is a combination of fruits and vegetables, but no potatoes and no bananas. So far, based off the recommended meal plan with the breakdown of foods, for day 1 through 3, we have barely broken 1,000 calories. This is concerning because the recommended caloric daily intake for a 2-year-old is 1,200. So when a diet encourages you to eat under 1,000 calories per day as an adult, this is worrisome because you're not getting the necessary energy, you're not getting the necessary nutrients or the vitamins that are needed to sustain life. Day 4 is quite disgusting. It is 8 to 10 bananas and 4 glasses of milk. Day 5, 6 tomatoes and 1 cup of brown rice. These two food items are a must on this day, but at this point in the diet, you are now welcome to eat small amounts of skinless chicken or fish and small amounts of salad and a few fruits. Day 6 is 1 cup of brown rice and vegetables. Like day 5, you are welcome to small amounts of skinless chicken or fish and salad. Day 7, 1 cup of brown rice, any vegetables, and all fruit juices are permitted at this point. Overall, this is 7 days of boring eating. Every day that says you can have vegetables, you're welcome to cook them or eat them raw, but if you do cook them, you should be super, super low on the oil and fats. But let me remind you, once again, this is not a restrictive diet, even though now you are limiting and restricting fats and oils. The 7-day meal plan for each day also includes a list of foods to avoid, and I noticed that the list of foods to avoid is longer than the foods that you can eat, but once again, this is not a restrictive diet. It also includes a daily exercise plan or routine that is just filled with exciting exercises and things that are just so much fun, like jumping rope, jumping jacks, squats, different yoga poses, different joints that you get to rotate in a circular motion, and my personal favorite, face exercises. There is something called GM soup that was mentioned throughout the diet. Basically, it's something that you make ahead of time in like a big batch, and then if you feel hungry, which I don't know if you're gonna actually feel hungry on this diet because it's not a starvation diet, but if for some random reason you feel a little hungry, you're welcome to eat this soup, but it's not starvation. The recipe for the GM soup consists of 6 onions, 3 tomatoes, 1 cabbage, 2 peppers, celery, and water. Again, boring and bland like the rest of the diet. It also sounds vaguely familiar. It sounds like the cabbage soup diet, which, ew. So what are the benefits to doing this diet? Quick weight loss, obviously, because you're starving yourself for 7 days. Detoxification. This diet is also intended to work like a cleanse to, rid your body of toxins because apparently the kidneys and the liver no longer exist. It's a quick diet. It only lasts 7 days. So for just 1 week, you have to torture yourself. So now my issues with this diet as a whole. I think a lot of the time a diet is considered a good diet when it claims that you can lose a large amount of weight in a very short span of time. And in this case, it's up to 17 pounds in just a week. We see those numbers like you can lose 10 pounds in 3 days or 17 pounds in 1 week, and we're like, wow, this must be a great thing. We are a culture so obsessed with losing weight, and not just losing weight as fast as we can, that we compromise our health and we don't even consider whether the diet is reasonable or healthy or a good idea or even safe. We need to step back and ask ourselves, the promises that this diet is making to us, do they make sense? I think it's important to remember that if a diet promises that you're going to lose a significant amount of weight in a short period of time, a reasonable amount of weight to lose in a week is about 2 pounds maximum if you're doing it healthy. But if a diet promises more than that, you need to remember that that diet is probably focused on restriction and a massive calorie deficit, because that is the only logical way that that amount of weight loss is possible in just a week. With rapid weight loss, it's important to remember that that kind of eating habits and that kind of diet is not sustainable long term, meaning the quicker you lose weight, the chances of you regaining that weight increase. One of my biggest issues with this diet is the meal plan that writes out exactly what you need to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Every single snack is written out for you. This leaves no room for a person to actually enjoy their food. And when you don't enjoy your food, you start to develop a negative relationship with eating. A diet should help a person learn proper nutrition and help develop the person's ability to make good choices on their own, not being told what to eat, but learn to choose between options depending on what their goals are. A diet should not tell a person what to eat, down to the smallest detail, because again, this is a form of restriction. When a person feels restricted, our natural instinct is to rebel. And in a diet's case, rebelling means to overeat or have a binge or resorting back to unhealthy options. Another quote from this diet is, "At no point is it advised to starve." Just because a diet tells you you can eat doesn't mean it's not starvation. I think there's a misconception about what starvation is. I think the majority of people think starvation means the absence of food. That's not true. Starvation can be from the extreme of the absence of food all the way to just not eating enough or barely eating at all. Starvation is simply the lack of food, not the complete absence of food. The diet talks a lot about how the specific food choices throughout the diet help to flush out toxins, which is always annoying to me because there are organs in our body designed, like their sole purpose is to do that, to flush out toxins, to get rid of waste. And diets like this completely overlook biology and science and kind of neglect and forget about, the kidney, the liver, the colon, the things that are in our body for a reason. Cleanses and detoxification and things like that are totally unnecessary if you just let your body do its thing. There is a scientific explanation section that explains to the reader or the dieter why this diet works for weight loss. And they use words, like macros and micronutrients and things like that. And they talk about how the different food choices work together and all these things. And they make it sound really good, really scientific. And it can trick you into thinking, oh, this is a good idea because look how smart it sounds. But at the end of the day, the reason weight loss happens is because you're not eating enough. It's so simple. You eat little, you lose weight. That's the only logical explanation. You can use big scientific terms all you want, but it's a very simple explanation. You're not eating enough, therefore you lose weight. This is not a balanced diet. When you limit people, when you tell people it's not restrictive and then restrict them, when you say it's not starvation, but you're barely eating enough for a 2-year-old, you've got to realize this is not a good diet. At the end of the day, this diet tries frantically to convince, me, the reader, that this diet is not starvation, that this diet is not restrictive. But anyone with half a brain, if they actually look at what the diet is telling you you can and cannot eat, the first red flag is when it says that you can't eat certain things, that means it's restrictive. And especially when it's restricting foods that are good for you. Like, you can cook with a little oil. It's not going to kill you. You can eat potatoes whenever you want. You can eat bananas whenever you want. If a diet is telling you to restrict healthy choices, that's a big red flag. So this diet is restrictive. It is starvation, and it is not a good idea. Anyway, that is the GM diet. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you learned anything, please give this video a thumbs up. For more videos about eating disorders, diet, nutrition, and everything like that, please subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment or a question, and I will see you next time. Bye!